Good morning. We're on the Euro USD looking at a successful breach of the highest probability long reversal zone. Price has then retested the breached reversal zone, thereby giving us a very high probability no touch trading scenario. So in the one touch option in the platform, we're going to select the higher of the two targets as our no touch target, essentially bidding that price in the short term will not be hitting this target for some time. We're now in the trade. As you can see, price is accelerating short. This is an example of a no touch breach exploit, as is also covered in our ITM Genesis Elite training webinar. So if you haven't watched that, please do watch that, and this will make a lot more sense then. We'll come back to you shortly with the results. All right, we're back with roughly 32 odd seconds remaining. Price accelerated to the short side, having successfully breached the highest probability long reversal zone. There was also an ITM Genesis Elite reversal signal aligned with that breached reversal zone. Genesis Elite, as you can see, has revised the focus to bearish since the breach occurred. We're very comfortably in the money here, looking at price expiring shortly on this trade to essentially book us some profits here. But what's more interesting is we have another boundary opportunity coming to availability now. So 2, 1, and 0, we have expired in the money for an $8,600 gross return, which will net us a $3,600 profit on this trade. Now, once the funds are released, we do see a boundary opportunity. This is an example of an outside boundary exploit that's maturing here. If you haven't watched the webinar, please do watch the ITM Genesis Elite and ITM Smart Money training webinar, where the outside boundary exploit is demonstrated as well as explained thoroughly. And the trade I'm about to take as soon as the funds are released here is going to exhibit an outside boundary exploit using ITM Genesis Elite and ITM Smart Money. The premises behind that are when ITM Genesis Elite shows us a favorable probability, we go for an outside boundary trade under the assumption that since the probability of price staying inside this current boundary is so low at 12, roughly 16% at the moment, the probability of price exiting that boundary is naturally a lot higher. Therefore, we're going for an outside boundary trade on the Euro USD, the first trade having expired successfully in the money. For a full max exposure investment of 5,000, feel free, of course, to choose your own investment amount. We'll come back to you just before expiry. Okay, we're back with roughly 14 odd seconds remaining in this trade. As you can see, price exited the boundary as suggested by ITM Genesis Elite earlier. There was a very high probability of price not staying in that boundary. Secondly, notice the retracement up to the boundary and subsequent aggressive bounce again off the boundary down to the short side. The probabilities that you see in ITM Genesis Elite exhibit these few things. For instance, one, there is a very high probability of price exiting the boundary. And secondly, because there's such a low probability of price staying in this boundary, it becomes even more favorable if there is a retracement that attempts to head into the boundary. It collapses back outside of the boundary on most occasions. That is the nature of a boundary exploit trade. Once again, if you haven't watched the ITM Genesis Elite and ITM Smart Money training webinar, there are a ton of examples and detailed descriptions of this trading setup using ITM Genesis Elite and Smart Money in that webinar. So please do watch it. It's roughly 84 minutes worth of loads of live trading examples, as well as a detailed description of each and every trading setup that you see here in these daily trading videos using ITM Genesis Elite and ITM Smart Money. So we've expired now in this second trade for 8,250 gross return for a net profit of 3,250. The first trade netted us a $3,600 net profit, thereby making our total profit for this session at 6,850, I believe. Thank you.